Welcome back, I'm Winstreak, and today we're going to start a multi-video journey that will end us with a Clash of Clans-esque building system. Today, we'll specifically be focused on getting a shop screen to pop up and scroll from side to side. This mechanic will use two built-in behaviors, Draggable, which allows us to click, hold, and drag around objects, as well as the Sticker behavior, which lets us hold the position of objects relative to another object. So let's dive right in. The first thing we need is a few objects. To open our store, we'll want a button. I will use the button object and just pick a basic, easy to read button. Though you can use any one that you fancy, since they will all function the exact same. Once the button's added to your scene objects, open it up and make a few edits. The name should be changed to something that makes sense, such as BTN Shop. The initial label should be changed to open, and we want to add a variable, which I'll call isOpen. This will be a Boolean variable, which starts out false, since our store starts out closed. Apply that, and then drag and drop the button onto your scene. Now, let's add an event that goes with our button. Inside of our event sheet, we'll add a new event, and this will be triggered on button click. Now, before we give any actions, we want to give a path for our button to go based on our isOpen variable. To do this, we will add 3 sub-events. To add sub-events, you can right-click on our current event and go to Add and then Sub-Event. Or you can click on Add a New Event and then simply drag it so that it's indented under our current event. Or you can click a sub-event that already exists and copy-paste it. Either way, you should end up with our button click event and 3 single indented sub-events. In our first sub-event, we only want these actions to happen if our isOpen variable is false. So we'll add a new condition, and since we are checking a variable inside of an object, first select the button object, then search for variable, and select on object variable value. Choose isOpen and select false. Now, any actions we add to this event will only happen while our button shop variable is false. So let's quickly go over what we want to happen while isOpen is false after we click on it. We're going to want 3 things to happen. 1, it should open up our shop. 2, this should change the value of isOpen to true. And 3, this should change the text of our button to close, so our player knows how to close the shop when it's open. Currently, we don't have a shop object, so we'll skip that step for now and simply add 2 new actions. 1 setting isOpen to true, and another action setting our button label text to close. Next up, we can build our second path, which the condition will be based on isOpen currently being true. This path should do the opposite, close our shop, change isOpen to false, and change our label back to open. To save time, I will copy and paste the entire previous sub-event, and then we'll delete that extra sub-event where I would have been filling in this information. Now we can change each of the values as follows. Our button shop check should be based on if it's true in our condition, and then in our actions, change our variable to false, and change our text to open. Now looking at this, it logically seems like our button should switch back and forth on click, but I technically brought us into a common trap. If we click on our button, nothing happens. Or if we switch our sub-event order, so our true condition happens before our isFalse happens, and then click our button, it works one time and then again gets stuck. This happens since we have our event's actions setting up the correct condition for the next sub-event. And we end up with both of these being true, one after the other. Once both happen, we can only see what happened last. The main cause of this happens from changing the variable inside of each event. So to fix this, we'll use our third sub-event and change our variable there. So you can delete one of the change variable actions and drag the other one down to our third empty event. Now here, we don't actually know what we want to set our variable to. So instead of setting it to a specific variable, we'll toggle it, which we'll just switch it to whatever one it currently isn't. And with that, phase 1 is complete, and we have a way to open and close our shop. So let's make that shop. For the shop, we want to add a new object called a panel sprite. Panel sprites are a mix between tiled sprites, which repeat their image over and over, and a normal sprite, which stretches the object. As you create the object, you'll see 4 margins and then a default size. And whatever number we add to each of the margins is the part of the image that'll get stretched, and the leftover center will be repeated. So we'll go ahead and create a basic shop window here. I'm going to put 5 in each of the margins and keep the defaults as 32. Then I'm going to make sure my image matches that 32 by 32. And since I use 5 for the margins, this means I have 5 pixels to work with for the border. And the rest is going to be a plain background, which just gets repeated. Now once it's saved, I can go ahead and drop it on my scene and then drag it out to whatever size I want. Once we have the size set, we can jump back into the panel sprites properties and make a few changes. We need a name that makes sense, and also the draggable object behavior. If you preview now, you can see you have full draggability on the shop window. After adding this new object, we now have 2 sets of code that we need to take care of. 1, we only want the shop to drag left and right, and not up and down. And 2, we want the shop to show up and hide in correlation to our button. So let's start a brand new event to force our shop to only move on the x-axis. This can be done by simply adding an action that sets the shop to whatever Y position you see fit. So I dragged my shop to where I wanted it on my scene, then looked at the properties, and I note the Y position. Then on a new event, I simply add an action setting the shop window's Y position to that value. Now technically this happens all the time, so it will always be affecting our performance, though the amount won't be noticeable. But we can easily reduce this so that it'll only be happening while our shop is open. And we do this by adding the condition, checking if our button variable is open is currently true, which I will just copy from above. Now, even though this event's condition matches the condition of the event above, they are not equal, since the sub-event version can only be activated once per click, and the new one is always running. And now if we preview, we can still move our store around while is open is set to false, but once we click on our shop button, the shop works exactly how we want it to. So now we just need to hide our shop when is open is false, and show the shop while it's true. And as we mentioned earlier in our video, our button shop is clickable should be handling the opening and closing of our shop. So on click, if the shop is open, we will be closing it. So in our first action, we will set it to hide our shop, which means in the other event, we will need to show our shop. And lastly, our shop starts out visible, but our shop button starts out thinking it's closed. So these two need to match. So in a one-time event, at the beginning of the scene, go ahead and hide the shop. Finally, we want to have items in the shop. All shop items need to be grouped, so they can hide, show, and sticker easily. Let's create 2 new sprite objects, item 1 and item 2. For these, I'll just use solid colors for the images as placeholders. And then we'll also add a new button to activate the purchase, which I will name button purchase and set the label to buy. Now we can make a group to put these all into, called shop items, and make sure to add both sprites and the button. I'm not currently tracking any group variables that need to be added here, so we'll skip it for now. But these objects do need the sticker behavior, and we need to do that one at a time, so click on each of our 3 new objects and give them the sticker behavior. For now, everything's just going to be static, so we can just drag and drop our 2 items and give them each a button below. You can always continue to do this with as many items as you want, including multiple of the same item, or just create more item objects and add them to the group and also give them the sticker behavior. And now we can head back to the event sheet and set up the hide, show, and sticker events. Since we have our group, we can simply find the 3 actions where we're either showing or hiding our shop window, and we'll add the matching show or hide to shop items, our group. Then at the beginning of the scene, we also just need to activate the stick on all of our shop items and stick them to our shop window. And we don't need to be taking this any further for our Clash of Clans video, since our whole shop will be made dynamically and it'll work a little different. But if you are using this for your current game, I would suggest adding variables to the buttons that store the cost, as well as whatever item it is you're going to purchase. Then go to each instance of the button individually and change that cost and the item to whatever one they're specifically connected to. Then on click of the button, if the cost is less than your gold, you can subtract the gold and add the item, and then close out that spot in the shop. But otherwise, hang in tight and we'll pick up here as we build our dynamic array for adding items to our inventory for our next video. As always, a great big thank you to my members, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.